Welcome to Blocked and Divided. This is a short story created by me, Desiree Clemons. This story takes place in future America, where AI has taken over most jobs. Humans are bored and full of opinions, and Facebook is now a physical battleground called FaceFight. Let's begin the story. Once upon a meme. Sometime in the future, the United States experienced spiritual constipation. People couldn't poop out their pain anymore, so they threw it at each other in meme form. Somewhere between a "Don't Tread on Me" bumper sticker and a TikTok about ethical polyamory, the great American divide finally split the nation. Not by bombs, but by vibes. Part 1. The Great Divide. Long after the industrial age, and just before the age of inwardness, machines and AI took over most jobs, leaving humans with only one thing: themselves. And that was a terrifying predicament for many. Without deadlines or alarms, they turned to posting. Rage posting, enlightened posting, passive-aggressive recipe posting. Soon, each state began to swell with sameness. The East grew leafy and sensitive, the South went pew-pew and patriotic, and the middle, well, they just wanted peace and cheaper rent. And so the people began to migrate, not for weather or for work, but for ideology. Part 2. The State Commercials. One by one, the states start airing commercials. Welcome to Texahoma, where opinions are sacred, meat is mandatory, and nobody asks what pronouns are. Or, visit New Euphoria, a gentle, carbon-neutral commune with eye contact, consent workshops, and trauma-informed zoning laws. Families packed their values in moving trucks, friends unfriended each other's, and dogs howled across fences. Yet no one asked what the consequences might be until it was too late. Part 3. The Lumae Appear. Long before the first spark of chaos lit the sky, quiet figures called Lumaes appeared in strange places. They were seen at the edges of protests, in libraries no one used, and beneath moonlit trees where no one had prayed in years. No one knew where they came from. They didn't vote, they didn't fight, they didn't even argue online. They simply walked from state to state, gathering stories, making strange art, and holding up mirrors, both literal and metaphorical. The Lumae didn't say much, but their presence caused reflection, which is the first step to empathy, which is the last step anyone ever wants to take. Part 3.5. The Pew Pew War Begins. It didn't happen all at once. First came the unfriending, then neighbors stopped waving at each other and start fact-checking each other's yard signs. And then came the Great Migration, where entire families packed up their feelings and fled to states that better reflected their personal algorithms. The red states grew redder, the blue states grew bluer, and middle states grew anxious and invested in canned beans and powdered milk. At first, it looked silly. Memes turned into mandates, hashtags turned into hover drones, and just like that, the Pew Pew War began. It wasn't nuclear. Nobody wanted to ruin their Wi-Fi. But it was brutal. Some fired emotion grenades that shattered communities. Others dropped truth bombs so biased they bent physics. And then came the laser rifles. Yes, actual ones. Engineered by retired influencers and powered by outrage. And the sound of these weapons? Not booms, not bangs, just pew pew. Hence the name, the Pew Pew War. Ridiculous, devastating, totally American. And while the states burned, bunkered, and live-streamed their destruction, the Lumae quietly got to work. Part 4. Elixirs, Towers, and Maps. As the Pew Pew War raged on, the Lumae moved quietly across America, each on a strange little mission. One Lumae, shimmering in the moonlight, began brewing something in the middle of a broken town square. There, they stirred a cauldron filled with laughter, faded memories, second chances, and a few anonymous apologies. "What are you making?" asked a suspicious teen in a camo vest. "An empathy elixir," the Lumae replied, "to help people feel something other than superiority." The teen made a face. "Gross," they murmured, then walked off to post about it. Another Lumae collected and stacked discarded satellite dishes into a massive spiraling tower. "What are you building?" asked a smudged pundit with 10 million followers and zero self-awareness. "I'm building a signal," she said, "to help people hear each other." "Why would I want to hear them?" "To remember you're not the only one here. Can you help?" "No," he scoffed. "That's not on brand." Then he blocked her and updated his bio to #empath with a heart emoji. And far away where the earth cracked from far too many boots marching in too many directions, a third Lumae stitched together dreams whispered by children, elders, exhausted parents, and poets. It became a dream map, a glowing, living scroll, showing what could be if people listened, collaborated, or paused before reacting. But nobody wanted a maybe. They wanted a winner. So the elixir sat unfinished. The tower blinked in silence. The map curled in the wind. Until the skies cracked open. Part 5. When God came down and everyone had notes. Just when chaos reached an all-time high, memes morphed into mobs, comment sections became war zones, and someone tried to build a wall between Whole Foods and Bass Pro Shops, the clouds above tore open like a wet paper bag. God descended. But not everyone agreed it was God. To some, God looked like Beyoncé with wings. To others, a bald eagle wrapped in scripture. And to a few, just a cloud wearing Crocs. Regardless, God was not amused. As God hovered above the elixir, the signal tower, and the map, they looked down with the face of every grandmother who ever sighed, "You know better than this." "Blue cloaks," God said, voice like thunder, steeped in sleepy time tea. "You turn compassion into competition." "Red hats," God continued. "You shouted about tradition while throwing tantrums like toddlers with nap access." "Middle folk," God sighed. "You sat on the fence so long, it became a podcast." Then God pointed to an influencer live streaming from the chaos. "And you, put down the phone before I smite your Wi-Fi." The crowd froze, silent, unsure if they had been insulted, enlightened, or gently roasted by the divine. Then one brave soul raised their hand. Respectfully, that's not my God." A wave of murmurs followed. "Mine would never say that. Mine has better hair. Mine votes." God blinked again, then slowly reached into their robe and pulled out a glittery clipboard. "Fine," God said. "Let's try this again. Who exactly is in charge here?" No one answered. And then, from the back, a Lumae giggled. Part 6. The Turning with God's Exit. A small child wandered up to the bubbling cauldron where the empathy elixir sat, still unfinished. She dropped in a torn drawing of her family split across state lines. The cauldron hissed. Then a janitor climbed the signal tower and plugged in his dusty Walkman. It played an old love song that reminded everyone that they once believed in something soft. Then a survivor, unseen since the first sparks of chaos, whispered their dream into the dream map, and the map lit up like dawn. And as that light spilled across the sky, God blinked, slowly, once, twice. Their clipboard dissolved into stardust. Their robes unraveled into rays of color. Their presence stretched upward like smoke from a candle, shifting between laughter, weeping, and lo-fi beats. Some said God ascended. Some said they became the Wi-Fi signal the world actually needed. And other claims they were just done, like a parent walking out of a PTA meeting that got way too weird. But whatever the truth, God was gone, and nobody knew if they would return, or if they even cared. Part 7. Consequences and the Unraveling. When God vanished, the ones who mocked the Lumae, dismissed the Elixir, unplugged the signal tower, and vandalized the dream map began to fade. First, from conversations, then from memory, and finally, from the world itself. No explosions, no plagues, just a soft unweaving, like a thread pulled loose from the hem of the human tapestry. You'd look around and say, wasn't there someone with a phone and a following who used to sit here and shout all the time? And someone else would say, who? And no one would remember. Part 8. Moral, maybe? See, the Lumae didn't fix the world. They didn't lead, they didn't conquer, and they didn't see sides. It just wandered on, gathering more bits of humanity like breadcrumbs on a trail of healing. But those who knew them, who felt them, they changed. Some only a little, some forever. Some just enough to stop reposting hate and rage for the day. And those who refused, who chose pride over peace, spectacle over sincerity, they weren't punished. They were simply silenced. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. You were awesome. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And that's it. That's all I got for you. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.